The following program is being brought to you on the World Talk Radio Network. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit worldtalkradio.com. The World Talk Radio Network, where the world comes to talk. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the World Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Are you ready to be inspired, uplifted, and motivated to greatness? It's time for Star Style. Be the star you are with your effervescent personal growth coaches, the Oprah of the airwaves, Cynthia Brian, and health specialist Heather Brittany. Define your vision, discover your passion, and design your future in this power-packed hour of life-changing talk radio featuring authors and successperts dedicated to helping you achieve the results you deserve. Be entertained, edutained, encouraged, and empowered. Smile, have fun, and celebrate you. Explore your potential and embrace your possibilities with your hosts, Cynthia Brian and Heather Brittany on Star Style. Be the star you are. Starting right now.
Never say never. Well, we are living our dreams. Hello, Power Partners, and welcome to Radio's Hour of Power, Star Style. Be the star you are. It's the Heather and Cynthia party. I am Cynthia Brian.
And I'm Heather Brittany.
And we are the mother-daughter dynamic duo here with you every single week, helping you pump your energy and do what you love and find out new information and get healthy and fit and laugh and learn and all those good things, because we really do want to have you follow your heart. The show for today is Heather and I, and what we're going to be doing is Heather's going to be talking about cervical cancer and oral fixations and what is happening with HPV that can be transmitted to the mouth through oral sex. And then I'm going to be taking you on a roving cash register to find out what's happening in mobile phones and how it's changing our future. And we're going to go into the garden to plant a healthy garden. The miracle moment for today brought to you by Star Style Productions, coaching you to be the star of your own life. For your own consultation, call 925-377-STAR or visit starstyleproductions.com. Is learn from the mistake of others. You can never live long enough to make them all yourself. And that's from Groucho Marx. And I like that one. I like that one a lot, because isn't it so true? I mean, we try to be so perfect, but the best thing is probably to make mistakes. Well, Heather, here is what's very exciting at the moment before we get into health matters is, I am attempting now to put VHSs onto, DVDs, because obviously tapes are from the 90s, and now we're in, whatever century we're in now. We're 20 years later. And so I decided, after doing some family tapes, that it's time to start putting my television shows on. And this was really great. Back in the 90s, I started producing and hosting a show called Star Style, Live Your Dreams, about ordinary people who are doing what they love in life, and not for the money, not for the glamour, but because it feeds their soul. Kind of what I'm still doing. And I am transferring these now. And Heather, these shows are amazing. They are so amazing. And what's so interesting is we started, and you were just a little girl and you were on these shows, but we started shooting them in 1995 and kept producing until about 2002. And the people that are on them and what they're saying is exactly relevant to what all of us are going through today. So I think I'm going to have to re-release these shows, because other than the hairstyles and maybe the clothes, I tell you what people are feeling in their hearts and what they're doing to live their dreams and live a life of happiness. is exactly what we all want to do. And I think we're in a better consciousness today. So anyway, so fun to look at these. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. So let's get on to health matters. Long known to cause cervical cancer, there is a pervasive but silent human virus, and I can't even pronounce it. You're going to have to pronounce it. The papillomavirus is actually finding its way into women's mouths, and it's sort of a wake-up call of what's going on. So this is a parental discretion, health matters today, but it needs to be discussed. And our resident health practitioner, Heather Brittany, is going to give us the lowdown on what is going on. What are the health risks of oral sex?
Well, exactly. My whole thing is before that, I love that you gave the discretion there, but I think it is such an important thing about talking about all aspects when it comes to sexual health, especially coming from being a reproductive health specialist and working with this kind of stuff every day. I think it's always wonderful for parents to share this information, to be informative and give non-biased information, because it's all of our health and it affects everyone, and we want to make sure people have the correct information. As in many Cheaper Twos and Health Matters health segments, we've discussed before about HPV, the human papillomavirus, which is known to be the leading cause of cervical cancer as well as genital warts. Just sort of, background information, papilloma, that weird, confusing word to say. It comes from, the discussion in medical of warts. The similar when people get warts on their hands and feet, that's in the papilloma family. However, this particular HPV, why people are getting these vaccines, and the cervical cancer and the genital warts, it's related to particular strands.
And you're probably going to tell us, but can you get rid of it once you get it, or is it a lifelong, thing?
Here's the thing that we've discussed, yes and no before. One, so again, sort of, to backtrack with this, is when women, go in for their PAPs, starting, we say, at age 20, it's always sort of changing with the current, our current recommendation is starting at age 21, whether you've been sexually active or not. We're looking at cervical cells, healthy cells, see if there's anything. Once, what they've discovered is HPV, human papilloma, it's sort of just bacteria. Not to, it is a virus, but not to make it sound like less of something, but it's everywhere. And they've actually looked into it and seen it as being almost a precursor of someone's first, sort of venture into sexuality, into being a sexual human being. With human papilloma.
And what do you mean by that, Heather? What do you mean by that, a first venture? I mean,
so what they've seen is, again, though it's a virus, I always like to more talk about it as bacteria. As you shake my hand, I shake your hand. Now we both have each other's germs, and then you go shake Johnny's hand, and now he has both of our germs. And for the most part, germs and bacteria isn't going to make you sick. It's just there. However, in some cases, it can make you sick. Some things, you take medicine, you wash off, you're better. Other things, it can be more of a process. And so that's the same when it comes to HPV. There's over 100 different strands, about 40 to 60 are sexually transmitted. And there's really, there's various ones, but there's 4 that we're really concerned about. The 2 that cause cervical cancer and 2 that cause genital warts. But in more recent studies-wise, we're really advocating for these Gardasil, for these HPV vaccines, is because they've seen the link to anal cancer, rectal cancer, and as well as now as oral cancer. And this is something, I think previously oral cancer was viewed as almost a male cancer, and it was not.
Well, you always thought it was smoking, didn't you? Or
they found it. They found it more in males over 50 who were heavy smokers, heavy drinkers, or both. And, but HPV, they had found between 1970 to 2005, 23% of oral cancers was related to HPV. Now, based on whatever, medical journal you read, they say that HPV can be anywhere from 64 to 93% of the causes in cancer, and it's of oral cancer, and it's appearing more in females. And the big thing about this is there's that misconception about oral sex. A lot of, depending on who you talk of, is oral sex really sex? Or, I can't get, I can't give, or, I can't transmit or give a sexually transmitted infection only by oral, by oral sex, I guess, But
well, we had a president that had that initiation for all of us who, determined that it was not sex.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's all on people's, and anyone's personal definition of it. Even if it isn't, penile, vaginal, or whatever you interpret as actual intercourse. Oral sex, oral intercourse, however you want to phrase it, does have potential risk. And they're seeing why there's such a big increase is because there is why some people may be delaying full-on sexual activity. They're participating in other ways. And a lot of people who have so many partners, again, here's, with HPV, because possibly even if you have never been, truly sexually active, possibly one of your partners has. And just as, these crazy diagrams they say of, anyone you've ever slept with, or your partner has, it's like you're sleeping with all of them. So that goes the same when it comes to your oral health. So they've seen this increase, with teenagers or just in women's health.
And I wanted to ask about the teenagers. I'm glad you brought that up because this is obviously I work with teens, and it's a really big thing that's happening with teens these days because they don't consider, it's not considered sex. So what are they going to do?
I think the good thing is a lot of these safe sex campaigns have been typically talking about how unprotected intercourse is related to HPV being vaginal-wise. And, I think the big thing is a lot of people aren't thinking about what they're doing with things in other places. And, so there are a lot of times, too, as we talk with cervical cancer. So HPV, the big thing is there's a lot of information out there right now, but at the same time, there really isn't. And a lot of times, women, they go in for their paps, they find out they have an abnormal. It sounds so devastating, but the big thing is there's just abnormal cells. We want to monitor them. We want to make sure that they're not changing. It's the very small percentile that these cells can actually become cancerous. If it is actual genital warts or warts, similar when you get warts on your hands and feet, we either give you a topical cream that eventually it will come off, or it's similar how they put like a burning acid on you. They freeze them off. It'll come off like that. It's not a reoccurring thing. They're not going to come in clusters. But something similar too is a lot of women, for whatever reason, they haven't gone for their pass, or they didn't follow their doctor's recommendation, or financially they couldn't go, whatever. We've always said, cervical cancer is a silent killer. There is not symptoms. It isn't that, you feel sick all the time, or you're losing, or any of these things. By the time people start to feel symptoms of something, it's already too late. And since they developed... What
are the symptoms, Heather? Do you know what the symptoms are?
Well, in relation...
Is it like pain and...
Well, in relation to HPV being orally, so what we're seeing is oral cancer, there's new upbringing of it. Things, again, this is something that can take a progressively long time. So ways, what you can do to kind of counteract this, one is your dentist, surprisingly, can be a big factor for you, because your dentist is in your mouth. They are the people that can tell you, you're a smoker, you chew, you do this, you do whatever, you eat a lot of candy. They are looking in, your tongue, throat, mouth, and they can tell you, if there should be precancerous things. So ask your dentist next time, you're in your mouth saying, am I possibly a candidate? looking at possibly, outside of your sexual information, because I'm sure that's not something you're sharing with your dentist. But ask them if
I don't think that's on the form usually.
If they think, but however, with more medical information, things are coming out. Ask them if they think that you could potentially be a candidate for oral cancer. Also, the biggest thing is don't ignore chronic symptoms. We all get colds sometimes. We all get swollen lymph nodes. But this is chronic. These are reoccurring things. If you have a chronic nasal drip, if you have a chronic sore jaw, if you have, the lumps, when you're sick, your lymph nodes swell. But if they're always swollen, that's something, really, again, it may not be painful, but just something you notice. Really take note of that. And this is something I know, especially in this economy we've talked about, if maybe you don't have, you can't afford dental care or to have a primary care doctor, there are nonprofit, there are, community health, as well as, we've talked before about Planned Parenthood, about getting things like this is something that's been brought to the attention, that, cancers as well, as infections and stuff isn't just in the general area, that because of sexual encounters, things can be spread to other places. So
well, and when I was reading about this, trying to do my background research on it, what it was saying is that what's so interesting is that the young women that it is affecting are usually super healthy in every other way, and they exercise regularly and they eat right, so they don't fit the profile of someone who is, going to be cancer prone in any way.
And I think something that's really frustrating, I know in the clinics I worked in, what was frustrating is in medical, with a lot of medical stuff, you do blood tests or stuff and to find out, what's going on in your body. Unfortunately, for HPV, there is no blood test. And what a lot of people would come in and we let them know, they're, especially for males, unless they have, done, they're sort of just seen as carriers. And it's unfortunate that with the current scientific, possibilities, we don't have blood tests for it. So what happens a lot of times with this oral cancer, this HPV that's causing oral cancer, women are going in, they've been in a monogamous relationship for, X amount of years, and they've gone in and their paps are completely healthy, so they feel like, I have nothing to worry about, again, as they're saying, I'm in a monogamous relationship. I'm eating healthy. I have my pap was good, but no one's thinking, to check their lymph, to do these testing, to look into your mouth to find out these other symptom things. So that's just sort of another thing to.
Heather, do they know where it actually comes from? Originally, where does this virus originally come from? I mean. That's where I'm confused. I mean, it obviously starts somewhere. So especially for somebody.
I think that's the frustrating thing with all medical things. It's anytime there's where does the flu originate? So, you got it from someone who was sick. Well, where did they get sick? It's sort of, how does bacteria start? How did the, very first chlamydia or gonorrhea? I mean, I remember one time I got an eye infection. And, of course, my thing I always say about the Internet is it's so wonderful, but at the same time, you type in headache, and you find out you have cancer, and you're dying, and I remember I had an eye infection, which it turned out to be nothing. It was because I love fake eyelashes. I had gotten glue in my eye, and it got all, and, but of course I typed in, and I thought I had pink eye, and reading about pink eye, I thought, how does the world not have pink eye? Because it's as simple as you rub your eye, you touch a doorknob, every single person in the world touches that doorknob, they rub their eye. I mean, so I went into a tizzy, of course. I thought I had everything, and then when I went to the doctor, they just said, you have some irritation, put some drops in, you'll be fine. don't wear eyelashes for a week. And, but that's sort of the thing, is it's really how do all of these, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Stuff originates, no one can really pinpoint things where exactly originates. People just, again, the biggest thing too, what's really, I think frustrating for patients with HPV is the incubational time, because it's not something, it's not a bacteria, so it doesn't have a quick turnaround. Sometimes it can take up to 2 years for someone to have an abnormal pap or for genital warts to cause So a lot of times what would happen, someone was in a monogamous relationship for a year or so, they come in for a PAP, their PAP is fine, they come back a year later, and now that we're telling them it's abnormal. And there is always a chance, that there can be false information. If you really feel, you can always retest, but it can take a long time for cells to mutate. So it's really hard to play the blame game with people. And I think in the good news about with HPV, and especially with it now being brought to light with the oral cancers, is with this vaccine, it's in essence, it's controversial that we're telling people, to vaccinate. It has the chance of being most effective if you vaccinate your children, both male and female, before they're even sexually active. So they've been recommending at 12 years old. It's not a mandated thing. It's not something, it's going to, a lot of times your child has to have measles shots right to go to school. It's not a mandation, but it's a highly recommended. Because
well, that's exciting that there is something like that that we can do at this time. Well, we're out of time again, Heather.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? If you want to stay on when we come from break, I'll do my business bite. We can talk about this a little bit more if there's more that we should talk about, because it's important that people know that there is a vaccine, because that's a great thing. Some people don't like vaccines, but if you're okay with a vaccine, boy, I'd rather have that than get this virus, right? Well, give out the websites, and then you can come back on if you'd like.
Most definitely. We want you to go to BeTheStarYouAre.org as well as BeTheStarYouAre.com.
And I'm Cynthia Brian.
And I'm Heather Brittany.
And you're listening to Star Style, Be the Star You Are. And Heather may or may not be back on the next segment. Hold on, and we'll see. A big surprise coming up.
The star you are, be the star you are. You are the star.
Now you don't have to stay linked to your desktop or laptop. Take World Talk Radio on the go and listen anywhere. Get our mobile app for iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android at the Apple iTunes App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market.
Business Bites. Here's Cynthia Brian.
Are you experiencing growing pains? Well, growth is a great thing when you're prepared to handle it. Oftentimes, small business owners try to do everything themselves, and when they find out they can't, they panic or they withdraw. It's a managerial demands that can cause a burgeoning business to fail. You have to learn to delete the management to a qualified individual and keep tabs on the progress. Here are a list of traits that a successful manager can employ as a business is growing. Focus on the project exclusively. Pay attention to minute details. Train your personnel and see training as an investment in the future. Evaluate all your productivity of your employees. Resolve conflicts and keep the business running smoothly. Step back and determine where your company currently is and where it wants to go. Take the steps necessary to ensure continual growth and prosperity. And finally, remember, you are the star of your own performance. Turn your passions into profits. I'm Cynthia Brian with another Business Bite from Star Style. For more information, visit starstyleproductions.com.
Be the star you are. Light up the flame that burns.
Get a positive prescription for living and discover a cure for adversity when you make a difference in the lives of others by donating to Be the Star You Are, a 501c3 top-rated charity dedicated to empowering women, families, and youth through increased literacy, positive media, and tools for living. www.BeTheStarYouAre.org. All donations are tax deductible. www.BeTheStarYouAre.org.
Be the lucky star you are.
Are you a teenager with lots to say, but no one to talk to? Let your creativity explode and your voice be heard on the radio program Express Yourself, a show by teens, for teens, and about teens. No topic is off limits as you connect with teens with attitude. Check out Express Yourself on the Voice America Kids channel and join our global community where teens talk and the world listens. www.btsya.com. You can express yourself.
This business of show business is calling out to me.
Get started acting or modeling with a consultation from media coach extraordinaire Cynthia Brian, who has guided entertainment careers for over 2 decades. Call 925-377-STAR or visit www.cynthiabrian.com. Pick up a copy of her award-winning book, The Business of Show Business, and start living your dreams today. Call 925-377-STAR. 925-377-STAR.
You're listening to the World Talk Radio Variety Channel.
Be the star you are. You are the star.
Get ready to be inspired, entertained, and motivated to greatness with positive, uplifting, life-changing talk radio. Turn up the volume. Tune in to the Power Hour on Star Style. Be the star you are. Now, back to the program with the Oprah of the airwaves, Cynthia Brian.
You'll find all you need in a life that shines.
Well, thank you for staying with us. And I am Cynthia Brian, and Heather Brittany is still here. Right, Heather?
Yeah.
All right. I love it. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that vaccine because I think it's really, really important. But before we do, I just wanted to mention a couple of important things that we're excited about. Express Yourself Teen Radio is the #1 young adult radio program on the Voice America Network in the world, which is really fabulous. So congratulations to our teens. And the teens are bringing it, the Express Yourself, to a booth at the Moraga Fair, and we want to thank 2 sponsors who are making that happen. Orinda Auto Detail, which they are a company in Orinda that do true vehicle appearance, specializing everything from 100% hand washing to complete interior and exterior rejuvenation. And they give incredible customer service. So thank you, Orinda Auto Detail, orindaautodetail.com. And also, we want to thank Keegan Productions, who produces high-quality videos for seminars and workshops for groups, communities, and the general public. And Keegan Productions is going to be at the fair actually videotaping the live radio shows. And the kids are going to be doing 2 live radio shows from the Moraga Fair. For more information, go to btsya.com, click on events, and you can find out more about our sponsors and about our teams and about Express Yourself radio show. So isn't that cool, Heather? I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
Yes. So now, before I get into Roving Register, I just wanted to have you tell a little bit more about this vaccine, because I didn't realize there was a vaccine that could be given to children, both boys and girls, as young as 12 before anyone is sexually active. And this seems to me to be a very positive thing. If it's going to prevent cancer and deaths, later on, or at any age, why not give the vaccine? Are there pros or cons?
Actually, you know what? I'm biased to it that I think it's a complete pro, but actually we have discussed it on many episodes before. There's newer ones coming out, but currently there's Gardasil available. When it was first brought on about 10 years ago, originally it was just for girls, and it was starting between 18 and 26. Now they're starting at age 12 because research has shown that it's most effective before anyone has become sexually active. The biggest sort of, I think just with our current state of our economy and our country is people feel that, so the backlash is people have felt that if they were to give their kids this vaccine, that it would make them promiscuous, and that it was, it's not preventing against anything. It's just like saying, if you give kids give kids sex education, doesn't mean they're going to go have sex. You're just giving them a tool.
Well, doing vaccines in general, I suppose that should be another topic for a health matter down the line, is there are many parents who don't want to vaccinate their children against smallpox or polio or any of these things because they're afraid that it causes autism, whatever. So there are people that don't even believe in vaccines, period. But I'm in agreement with you that I really feel that the pros outweigh the cons in this.
I think the sort of stigmatism that is associated with this vaccine is that it's in relation to sexual health. Now, if you were to just tell parents, there's a vaccine out there that can help prevent a cancer, a 99, that something that no woman should ever die, or no man, because it's related to so many other cancers. If they were to tell you there's a cancer vaccine, I can't believe, I think definitely a higher population.
You just found the answer, I think, is that this vaccine just needs a better publicist, and it needs a spin on it that it is a cancer vaccine as opposed to a sexually transmitted disease vaccine, and then the stigmatism would go away.
I mean, honestly, I'm not the first to. I'm not the one that started this thing. This is how it's been marketed, and it's sort of that turnaround when people ask, well, how HPV isn't that related sexually, and I think it's unfortunate that people have that fear that that their kids will become active.
If people knew that the HPV was related or was a contributor to these deadly cancers that are undetectable until it's too late, then it would lose the stigma and it would become more of a cancer vaccine, is what I'm saying. So I think that's important.
I hope so, because I think.
Is there a website people can go to find out more about that?
I think as with anything, if you just go to plan.org, which will bring you to your local Planned Parenthood, anything, they have links and really good, non-biased information with everything. And it's not, I'm not pushing that vaccine. I know many people, have concerns over it because it's a fairly new vaccine. They don't know, what's going to happen in the future. So it's nothing. My personal view on it is I think it's it's a series of 3 vaccines. As of now, we don't believe that there needs to be any kind of booster shot. Who knows that information, because, it's been around less than 20 years. That may change. We may find out we do need a booster. Currently, especially people, it's an expensive vaccine. It's about $170 per injection. However, many places, if you have healthcare and you're under the age 26, or your child is at least 12 years old and from 12 to 26, it will be 100% covered because it is considered a preventative vaccine. It's still, Planned Parenthood as well, they can offer it at either very low cost. If you don't have insurance, they have a program with Merck to do it for $20. But if you have private health insurance and your child's under 26 or you are under 26, it is available at no cost.
So what about over 26, Heather? And then you have to pay the full price, or
over 26. And the only reason there is this 26 cutoff is when they did their clinical studies, they stopped at age 26 because they saw that this was the highest demographic, because statistically, over age 26 are married, in monogamous relationships, have care, whatever it may be. And so they stopped the research at 26. And a lot of people, FDA and approval and research are multi-million-dollar things. And that's why many times you'll see all these pills and health things that say, not approved by FDA. Some things, be careful, but other things, it's a time-consuming and very expensive procedure. So they stopped at age 26. We, however, believe that, just because the very next day you're turning 27 doesn't mean all of a sudden this isn't going to work for you. So I've actually administered injections to patients, as old as 55. If you're a sexual being, who is not... Even, I'm such an advocate for, even if you're in a monogamous relationship, to complete the vaccine series. So though, if you
Heather, and when you say a vaccine series, how many are there? Do you have to do 3?
It's a series of 3 vaccines. The typical thing, what we like to do is have it completed within 6 months. It cannot be any shorter, but it has to be, but it can be longer. So what we do, the sort of the recommendation, what the injection procedure of choice would be that you give, similar like when people get, boosters, measles, it's a series. You get the first injection. Now, it's the exact same injection. You get the first one, then you come back 2 months later, get the second one, and you come back 4 months after that to get the third. You can't come back any earlier for whatever reason. Research has shown that your body, it takes that long to absorb, digest, whatever it may be, the injection. However, it could be much longer in time. We want to get people, because with all things, studies have shown that if people are in this thought process, if they need to complete it within 6 months, they do. If they know they have a lot more lead time, a lot of times people fall off the bandwagon, they forget about it, and before they know it, they're over 26, and now that when we tell you that it's almost $200 for a vaccine, that sort of deteriorates and people aren't so into it. And studies have shown that you must complete the series of all 3 vaccines. However, I personally have gotten the vaccines, and from my second to my third, it was 2 years. I had gotten mine when I was in college, and then I went, a 2-year period where I didn't have health insurance, and I didn't know at that time that I could get it at no cost. And it wasn't until when I started working that I found out through my health insurance I could get them at no cost, and it was also available for low cost. And I wasn't sure, do I need to start it over? And that's a big thing. People aren't sure, you don't need to start over, just as long as you complete all 3. And
well, maybe the important thing to let people know then is to check with your insurance carrier before, you contact your doctor, because your doctor may not know whether you're covered either, unless you're going to some facility where it's already covered.
Exactly. And the big thing I always just advocate is that, if you don't have insurance, if you are an out-of-pocket patient, or, you're under 26 and you may have insurance that's not going to cover it, think about it as it may be expensive, but also think about the expense of your life and, of having cancer or having something like that, of what that would do. And as well as that is, HPV doesn't just affect you, it affects all of your partners, it affects your family. Just any illness affects everyone around you. Your quality of life affects everyone else's quality of life, because, you are the star, you do matter.
Well, and this whole idea that throat cancers and mouth cancers can now be are now being found to be caused by this, where as we were saying at the top of the hour, that it was usually smokers who would get these kind of cancers. So this virus is actually very prevalent, and it is it's deadly, and it's silent, and that's what's scary. So it sounds like at least get some knowledge about it, talk to your healthcare practitioner, and if you are, if you can, and if you're willing to get that vaccine, it sounds like the vaccine is going to do you more good than it would ever do any harm. I mean, are there side effects to the vaccine that you know of?
No, I mean, there's been lists of the biggest side effects. We say, there's pain. It's similar if you've ever got a tetanus shot. The next day, it feels like someone gave you a dead arm. So there's, pain, swelling on the injection site. And in very rare cases, after our first injection, we always have someone wait 20 minutes to make sure there isn't any kind of anaphylactic thing. Technically, if someone was to have an allergic reaction, it would happen almost instantaneously. We give them an injection, and they would start to feel, trouble breathing. But we always like to monitor someone for 20 minutes after the first injection. After we've seen that the first injection has been successful, for your following 2, we know that you're not going to have a reaction. There has been rare cases that people have had. There was some stuff on the news, I believe, a while ago that a woman had some weird nerve damage that happened. These are the extremely, with all things, there's always a risk with anything you're putting into your body, and who's to know, whatever clinical research, and that's something, when you look into medicine, if you ever looked at things, anytime they do a clinical study, any of the slightest thing, if someone says my eyebrow itch, they have to list, possible eyebrow itching may occur. So
everybody can. Yeah, there could be something, but what it sounds like from what has experienced has been minimal. Well, you know what? We're at the end of the second segment, Heather, so thank you for staying on to give us the rest of the information, because I really was interested in the vaccine portion of it. And although we've done other shows on vaccines, I never realized that this was the same vaccine that would be for this issue. So thank you so much, Heather Brittany with Health Matters, always our great health resident right here on our Number 2 segment. So when we come back from break, I am going to do the Roving Register, and I'm also going to give you 5 steps to a healthy garden. So you're going to get everything in the last segment kind of squished together. So if I talk too fast, it's going to be because I want to give you everything you need. My name is Cynthia Brian.
And I'm Heather Brittany.
And you're listening to Star Style, Be the Star You Are, and we will be right back. Don't go away.
You are the star you are. Be the star you are.
What's going on behind the scenes with your favorite World Talk Radio show or host? For the latest news, visit the iRadio blog at iradioblog.com.
Looking for unique, one-of-a-kind gifts for the special woman in your life? The Carmony Collection creates handmade handbags, clutches, candles, and canvases from vintage and recycled fabrics, bangles, and beads. Be eco-friendly and fashionable with prices for all pocketbooks. Visit www.carmonycollection.com. That's Carmony with a K and Collection with a K. Or call 925-785-7827.
Are you living your dreams? Want to create a life you love but don't know how to begin? Lifestyle coach and personal growth expert Cynthia Brian has jump-started the lives and careers of clients for over 2 decades with her signature Star Style consultations with personalized sessions by phone or in person. You'll turn your passions into profits. Visit www.cynthiabrian.com or call 925-377-STAR. That's cynthiabrian.com or call 925-377-7827. Cynthia Brian is your guide on the side. www.cynthiabrian.com. You can be the star you are.
Be the star you are. Light up the flame that burns.
Make a world of difference in a world of differences when you support Be the Star You Are 501c3, a literacy and positive media charity dedicated to empowering women, families, and youth. Visit BeTheStarYouAre.org to make a tax-deductible donation today. Everyone counts. Donate today. BeTheStarYouAre.org.
Be the lucky star you
Turn up the volume, grab a seat, and get ready to be challenged, inspired, and motivated to greatness. It's Power Party time on Star Style, Be the Star You Are, with your hosts, the mother-daughter dynamic duo, Cynthia Brian and Heather Brittany.
Well, I am back with you now, and Heather Brittany was on for the 2 segments with that very interesting and important segment on this vaccine that can prevent cancer. But now I want to talk to you about mobile hand devices that are in stores these days, and the chances are that your shopping adventures are going to involve less paper and more finger dexterity, and you're going to have to be tapping quite a bit. I'm going to probably be horrible at this because I'm not good at texting. For some reason, my fingers type all the wrong letters, but the near future really involves not just shopping with 2 hands, but just with one to check on the items and the other to register them on your smartphone. Recently, I was reading an article in the San Francisco Chronicle that was written by freelancer Lorraine Sanders, and it predicts literally the demise of cash registers. And what it was saying is that people are going to be clutching their smartphone to do all of their buying, including their receipts. And even with mobile commerce still in its infancy, shoppers are already using the handhelds for payments, for digital receipts, for loyalty rewards, for deals, for scanning those QR codes. I don't use them. Those, I don't know if any of you have, but you're seeing them everywhere. And for requesting personalized service from maybe even sales associates. At Neiman Marcus stores in San Francisco, they are 2 of 4 locations that were tested to do a new iPhone application where shoppers can investigate trends and product details, and then they request help from preferred sales associates. And it might be useful, like if you wanted to pull items to match an outfit while you were browsing elsewhere. So in other words, your smartphone really becomes a smartphone. It becomes like your personal assistant in tapping in, oh, I need help, and I'm standing in the hat aisle. I can't get over that we're getting so technical these days that we're going to need our phone to ask for assistance. But how it works is once enabled, the app notifies a sales associate of a shopper's arrival. It uses sensors installed at the store entrances. It sounds kind of creepy to me, actually, and it might be a little bit, but in reality, the customers are still in charge because you can say, hey, I'm just browsing. I don't need any help, or I don't have time, or whatever. Apple introduced something that was called Easy Pay that allowed customers to purchase certain items in stores using the Apple Store mobile app and simply walk out. No trip to the register was required. So in San Francisco Bay Area, more than 65 Gap stores, including Old Navy and Banana Republic, allow shoppers to pay using Android-powered phone apps. It's called the Google Wallet. Now, major retailers aren't the only ones that are really eager to leverage this new mobile technology. Even vintage boutiques are using things like that, too. There is a vintage boutique that has a 1960s rotary dial phone that is in mint green, and it matches the interiors of the store. But alongside that, they have an iPad that you're going to use to slide your credit cards and do all that kind of stuff. Now, the QR codes are increasingly popular among small retailers, and they're becoming something that we see everywhere where small businesses are experimenting with mobile technology that's less familiar. Now, why would you want to be bogged down by the purchase process is what people are asking. And they're just saying that when you're using a mobile device, it's going to be so much easier. Just a tap is all it takes to send a transaction detail from the checkout to a customer's enabled smartphone. So in other words, you could go home and print out your receipt if you want, or you could just keep everything digitally. I like the idea of no paper because I think that is a huge part of my day every day is going through all the paper and sorting and, and filing and deciding what to keep and what not to keep. But at the same time, it's a little weird to be doing everything on a handset. And also with these handsets being so small, it's easy to type in the wrong code or the wrong amount. So I'm not sure how that's all going to work. But what they're saying is that customers are going to have to be convinced that paying for a purchase with their phone is easier and secure, and just as secure as paying with a credit or a debit card. And then there's the issue of customer demand. Shoppers today are inundated by retailer and third-party mobile apps and services. They're kind of becoming overwhelmed. I know when apps first came out, we all were on the bandwagon, oh, this is so cool, let's get it, blah, blah. But now there are so many, you can't possibly get them all. So it's not like they're clamoring for features that they don't have. They're just trying to adjust to the features that they already have. And most people are not very slick, and most people are not very high tech or anything like that yet. But they would like to have it to be simple and easy and cost effective. So just be on the lookout. That might be in our future, that we are going to be going completely handheld and mobile. And talking about apps, I want to make sure that everyone knows that we do have a Voice America and a World Talk Radio app available for download, and you can take Star Style, Be the Star You Are with you anywhere, as well as our teen show, Express Yourself. We are available on the mobile apps, by Voice America and World Talk Radio. Go to your iPhone, your Apple store, or your Android store, whatever device you use, they are available for all the smartphones. So now I want to go into the garden, because gardening for me is one of the most important things. And now that spring has sprung, although today it doesn't look so much like that where I am, it's actually blustery and rainy. Hopefully you're having sunshine wherever you are. It is time to get busy in the garden. And here are 5 things that you can do right now to have a very healthy and beautiful garden. And they're very simple things. The first one is, don't use pesticides unless you absolutely have to. And by necessary, I mean you've identified the pest. The pest is causing a real problem, not just an annoyance. And you've already tried managing it without pesticides. Insects such as bees and ladybugs provide valuable services. They're beneficial insects and are readily harmed by pesticides. So you only want to resort to pesticides when you absolutely have to. Speaking of that, you have to understand that there are beneficial insects. Only a few of the thousands of species of insects in your garden actually do any damage. Most insects are helpful creatures that naturally keep pests in check or pollinate plants. So if you use a broad spectrum pesticide, you're going to be killing more helpful insects than pests. So be really careful. Grow plants that will attract the beneficial insects. Plants that will bring lots of helpful creatures to your garden to help you control pests are widely available in nurseries. Some examples are sunflowers, rosemary, lavender, cosmos, salvia, marigolds, calendula. Plant any of these, and what you'll find is you're not going to need to use any insecticides or pesticides, and your garden will be blooming all the time. All of these are flowers that bloom literally year-round. If you're using fertilizers, you want to use a balanced fertilizer instead of a high nitrogen fertilizer. Compost, organic fertilizers, and encapsulated fertilizers release nutrients slowly and support the balanced, healthy growth of plants. High nitrogen fertilizers, on the other hand, they stimulate lots of new, tender green growth. But what that does, it actually attracts aphids and other pests. So then we get back to number 1 about the pesticide thing. So do balanced fertilizers. And that gets me to using mulch. Mulch evens out the soil at temperatures. It encourages good soil texture. It encourages root development. It suppresses the weeds. It decomposes over time to provide nutrients. It conserves water by slowing down evaporation. You do want to leave some area bare right around like trees. And also there are ground nesting bees that like to have bare soil, so you don't want to bury those in mulch. But mulch can be many kinds of things. It can be a combination of chipped wood, redwood chips, for example, leaves that have been shredded. It can be bark. It can be even gravel, anything that is going to cover the soil. And remember to make your own compost. You can have your own compost pile even by putting a small bucket or pan under your sink and collecting your scraps, whether they're carrot cuttings or coffee grinds, teas, eggshells. All of that can go into a compost pile along with straw and leaves and lawn clippings. Just don't put anything that is diseased in there. And that becomes a nice, rich compost that you can use as a mulch around your plants. And it's great to mulch to like twice a year, once in the summer so that it will retain water, and then once in the winter so that your ground will retain the heat and not freeze any of your plants. So those are just a couple of tips for the garden. And then I thought I would just give you a couple of other kind of spring cleaning things that would be good as far as making some natural products, because many cleaning products contain metals and solvents and toxic chemicals. And if you pour these down the drain, they can pollute the bays and our water systems. And our wastewater treatment processes are designed to treat biological waste, but they can't remove all traces of pollutants before they flow out into our oceans. And also, some cleaners contain unnecessary antibacterial agents that are really just technically pesticides. Then those would actually make more bacteria, which would be resistant to the antibacterial drugs. So it becomes a vicious circle. So there are some alternatives for you that use baking soda, borax, lemon juice, and other ingredients that are friendlier to the environment. And they're homemade solutions, and they are very inexpensive. In fact, far less expensive than commercial cleaning products. So let me just give you a couple of them. An all-purpose cleaner is get some baking soda, mix it with a little water, and you make a paste consistency. And for stubborn stains, work it in. Let it sit for a while before you remove with a damp cloth or a sponge. If you want a disinfectant, full-strength white distilled vinegar. You can spray or rub it on surfaces, doorknobs. And an alternative is a half a cup of borax in a gallon of hot water. And by the way, if you have hardwood floors, that's how I mop my hardwood floors. I put about a half a cup of white vinegar in some warm water in a bucket, and I mop my floors, and it keeps them very, very clean. If you need a drain cleaner, you can put baking soda, salt, vinegar, some boiling water, and pour a half cup baking soda and a half cup salt into a drain, and then add that a cup of vinegar, cover the drain while it's fizzing, let it sit overnight, and then flush with boiling water. And I think that you'll find that it will clear the clogs. So that's a good one. A good glass cleaner is 2 cups of water, a cup of white distilled vinegar, and a teaspoon of liquid soap or detergent. And you can just put it in a spray bottle and to remove like any wax residue left by commercial window cleaners. And after the residue is removed, you can leave out the soap for any future cleaning. An alternative is just lemon juice and water. And by the way, lemon juice and water also polishes copper and other things. So it's sort of fun using all of this. Obviously I grow a lot of lemons, so I use lemon juice for a lot. As a grease remover, lemon juice or vinegar is fantastic too. You can spray or douse something that is greasy, let it sit for a few minutes, and then scrub it out. If you have lime and mineral deposits, use vinegar and paper towels, or you can even use the lemon juice again. And here's a really good one for mildew. Undiluted white distilled vinegar. Use it on a cloth or sponge and wipe down the surfaces. So, and one final one before I close, and that is if you have watermarks or scuff marks, use toothpaste. You can remove them from the floors and from furniture just with toothpaste. And I actually was on a speaking job and spilled some nail polish on a rug, and I panicked, and I got out my toothpaste, and it came right out. So I hope you love a few of those tips. Get out into your garden, be natural, save our world, save our environment. We have to live in it, and we want to live a long life. Our aim here at Star Style Be the Star You Are is to encourage and inspire, inform, and motivate you. We want you to cherish the past and dream of the future, but live for today. And we hope that you're reading some books. If you'd like to read any of my books, go to BeTheStarYouAre.com. For information about the charity, go to BTSYA.com and tune in to our teen show, Express Yourself, on the Voice America Radio Network. I am so glad that I was with you today. Thank you for being great listeners. My name is Cynthia Brian, and we will celebrate again next week when Heather and I will be back again with another engaging segment and an engagement hour that will encourage you to be your best self. Until then, go out in the world, make it a great day, and be the star you are. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for tuning in every week for the Power Hour on Star Style. Be the star you are. Our goal is to inspire, inform, entertain, and motivate you to reach for the stars and shine brightly. For further information, visit www.starstyleradio.com. You're invited to our Power Party next week and every week right here on the World Talk Radio Variety Channel with the dynamic duo, the Oprah of the airwaves, Cynthia Brian, our health hero, Heather Brittany, and the pioneers on the planet. We'll pour more champagne for the spirit with positive, uplifting, life-changing radio. Until we play again, be the star you are.